My substitute teacher confiscated my inhaler and locked it in her desk, saying asthmatics just want attention. I have type 1 diabetes and severe asthma. Basically hit the genetic lottery in the worst possible way. My mornings start with insulin injections and end with checking that my emergency supplies are packed. During AP chemistry, I quietly pulled out my inhaler, while Mrs. Pickleburn droned on about molecular structures, the familiar wheeze in my chest growing stronger. The sharp hiss of my inhaler cut through her explanation of covalent bonds. Mrs. Pickleburn stopped mid-sentence, her eyes zeroing in on me like a hawk spotting prey. She marched over and snatched the inhaler from my hands before I could even process what was happening. Asthmatics just want attention, she declared, loudly enough for the entire class to hear. My face burned with embarrassment as 30 pairs of eyes turned to stare at me. You can have this back after class. I watched in horror as she locked my lifeline in her desk drawer, then demanded I hand over my glucose meter and emergency kit that my mom meticulously packed every single day. The small black case contained everything that kept me alive: glucose tablets, test strips, backup supplies. Mrs. Pickleburn dismissed my protest with a wave of her hand, treating my medical equipment like contraband. 20 minutes into her lecture on ionic bonds, my hands started shaking uncontrollably. The familiar cold sweat broke out across my forehead as my blood sugar plummeted. I could feel the hypoglycemia creeping in like a tide, but my meter was locked away in that damn drawer. I raised my trembling hand, trying to keep my voice steady. Mrs. Pickleburn, I really need my diabetic supplies. This is a medical emergency. She didn't even glance up from her periodic table poster. Nice try. Sit down and pay attention to the lesson instead of disrupting my class. The room started spinning as my vision blurred around the edges. The molecular diagrams on the whiteboard swam together into meaningless squiggles. My consciousness felt like it was floating away from my body as my blood sugar crashed to dangerous levels. But here's what Mrs. Pickleburn doesn't know. My dad is the head of the school district's legal department, and he taught me exactly what constitutes criminal negligence. I collapsed during her molecular bonding demonstration, my body hitting the floor with a sickening thud. The entire class erupted in chaos. My best friend Babs immediately called 911 while other students surrounded me. Mrs. Pickleburn finally panicked, frantically searching through her keyring, desperately trying to unlock her desk drawer as reality crashed down on her. The paramedics burst through the classroom door within minutes. They quickly checked my blood sugar. It had plummeted to 42, critically low and potentially life-threatening. One paramedic immediately administered glucose gel, while another treated my severe asthma attack, which had worsened from the stress. Then my dad burst through the door like an avenging angel. But this wasn't angry parent dad coming to comfort his sick child. This was district lawyer dad in full professional mode, his briefcase in hand and his court face locked in place. I'm Mr. Bartholomew Crankshaft, legal counsel for this district, he announced in his coldest courtroom voice. That teacher just committed criminal negligence by knowingly withholding life-saving medical equipment from a minor. Mrs. Pickleburn went pale as printer paper, the color draining from her face as she realized the magnitude of her mistake. My dad methodically documented everything with his phone, interviewing student witnesses while the paramedics worked on stabilizing me. He took photos of the locked drawer, recorded statements, and gathered evidence with the precision of someone who'd spent years prosecuting cases just like this one. By the following week, Mrs. Pickleburn faced formal criminal charges for child endangerment. The district fired her immediately, and the state revoked her teaching license permanently. The district implemented mandatory medical emergency training for all staff members, and local news outlets picked up the story, leading to statewide policy changes.